Hear me? Yeah, you hear me all right?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Just the dog on the about there shouting. Um, so how long? Like, shit, I just can't get over the fact of how long it takes you guys to get fights announced. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's insane. How are you dealing with that sort of stuff? You know, I've asked you about that before, but now it's like I was speaking to you a few weeks ago, and you just sort of be running through opponents now at this stage that you can't get confirmed.
hmm I mean, it is frustrating. You get set a date, you get a certain amount of time to prepare for it, and you're thinking, right, I'll find out my opponent this week. And then another week goes by, and you're like, all right, I'll get someone this week for it, and I can start game planning and putting a few things into me sessions specific for someone. And then the weeks just keep going by, and obviously people are turning me down. So there's no one set in stone. This camp, I got an opponent about 4 or 5 weeks out. Um, got it all confirmed, and it was a good opponent. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I was gonna be fighting a UFC veteran, so
Oh.
I was happy with that. This is the second time I was meant to fight Cameron Else in November as well, another UFC vet, and that one fell through. So this is the second time that I would have had the opportunity to fight a UFC vet, but it fell through. So anyway, that fight was in place for a couple of weeks, and then again, I don't really know what happened. I don't know the ins and outs, but it fell through again. Obviously, not on my end. Um, so we were back to square one, and it was getting close. So the last week we had another couple of opponents what were like 90% signed, and it was like I was thinking, right, okay, at least I've got someone, you
Yeah.
know. And then essentially I went to bed Sunday night thinking I had another opponent, and I woke up Monday morning to two texts off Ian and Ian Dean, the matchmaker, and he'd said that the opponent I had scheduled was out, but Reece McEwen's fight versus Dan Luis had fell through, and therefore that left a bantamweight fight for me. And obviously, I wouldn't say luckily, but because I was kind of at this point, I was looking at catchweight fights because I wasn't sure if anyone would be able to make bantamweight on time. So, but luckily, I stayed kind of like consistent with my diet with the process of how I make weight. And so, when they offered me the bantamweight fight on Monday, I was already into a weight cutting process, and I was able to take it. And then here we are now. We've got a boss fight for the weekend.
So if McEwen hadn't have dropped out, then do you think you would have got a fight in this card?
That was like cutting it close. I do think that I probably wouldn't have. Yeah, to be honest, because it would have been fight week. So that was kind of what Cage Royce was telling me was like this was the sort of last effort we had, and we had a good opponent locked in Sunday night. Oh, I thought it was locked in anyway, and then that fell through, and then yeah, bit of luck, bit of Ian Dean grafting his ass off all weekend, pulling through for me on Easter weekend, and then yeah, we got a fight. So I'm made up now though. The way it's turned out, I don't think it could have gone any better. I'm in the co-main event against another young prospect, 8-1, versus myself, 7-1. It's going to be a cracking fight, and yeah, I'm very excited, and I'm made up with the way it's all turned out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, it's exciting even still that you've left it so late. You know, I mean that you're still even gonna fight at it. You know, it's big balls to do. So that on a few on not you're not on a few days notice, but like how do you train for someone on a few days notice, even though you've given yourself a full count? Like how are you training for anyone?
Yeah, so it's like again, I've always been someone who doesn't do too much specific stuff for an opponent. Don't get me wrong. Next gen, we're very good at breaking down tape of our opponents and implementing certain stuff, but that's because we've kind of got systems in place to take on any style of opponent. So whether that be, we're fighting a really high level striker who's maybe not got the best takedown defense, or we're fighting a really high level wrestler who's going to be looking to take us down. We've got systems of getting back to our feet, and just we kind of got like a skill set where I feel like I could fight anyone, base any style essentially, and then I can just kind of cherry pick specific parts of my game that I then need to implement going into the fight. So for me, the last 8, 9, 10 weeks, I've been working on my whole game. I've been spending certain weeks in some areas, certain weeks focusing on other areas, and now, like I say, you never know who you're going to get. So I've had strikers signed, I've had grapplers signed, I've got Dan Luis now, who's more of a grappler. So yeah, but I'm confident in my abilities, and I think I'm very well rounded. So no matter who they give me, I just sort of pick right. I'm going to go with that system now to fight this opponent. So That's what we'll do.
Has Dan Duis, have you sort of been following him a while, or is he just sort of fell into your lap kind of thing?
Well, I was aware of him when he signed to Cage Warriors because he fought on a show with Adam Cullen. And I in Colchester, I was in the back with Adam, and Dan was warming up for his fight. So then I watched him because he was a bantamweight, obviously, and he got a first round triangle submission. So since then, I was aware of him. So I was like, all right, okay, he looks pretty nifty on the ground and stuff. But until then, and even now, looking back, trying to see his previous fights over his career, they're hard to find. Do you know what I mean? There's not much on him. He's fought on a couple of random shows across Europe, so there's not a whole lot of footage on him, to be honest. But I feel like I've seen enough to know that I'm going to go in there and win. So I'm very confident.
Well, this like yeah, you're posting tickets there to the show, and the show's near sold out. Like, is this the biggest show you've ever fought on? Do you think?
I think it'll be up there. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I fought in Manchester, the same venue once before, just before COVID hit, and that was a pretty good crowd then. But that was only my third pro fight, so sort of my following and then that's kind of grown since then. All the other lads have turned pro, so we've kind of got like a nice. It's like the next generation fighting on this card now. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So Delph, Cullen, Gittins, Luke Riley, all coming through, having our pro fights on this card. Because I remember the last time I fought in Manchester, I think I was 2-0 going 3-0, and Adam Cullen was still an amateur. He had an amateur fight on that card, so it's just mad the changes that have happened since then and where we're all at now. But Saturday night's going to be, I reckon, one of the best nights of my career so far.
Well, hopefully, as I think the same. Like, is it just you and Adam had struggled getting matches for this year, or was it the whole next gen gym?
The
Every
whole gym, to be honest. Like Liam Gittins was locked in pretty early on. He had a good fight lined up with Rory Evans. That's happening Saturday night, and that's going to be an absolute banger of a fight. And then myself and Cullen were struggling. Luke Riley had an opponent for a good amount of the camp, and then he pulled out sort of a week out. So again, he had the same sort of thing, looking to get opponents. He had a few names thrown his way. A few people turned him down last minute, and then he ended up securing a fight at a cat right now. So Luke's going up a few pounds to fight at 150. So, but to be honest with you, it's next gen. Do you know what I mean? When people get our names across the desk, the managers or whatever, or the coaches, they just for whatever. Well, I know what the reason is because we're so good, but they just don't seem to want to fight anyone from next gen. And I don't blame them. Like, but at the end of the day, what are we in this sport for? Do you know what I mean? You're in the sport to challenge yourself and to see if you can get to the top. And I'm not into padding my record or trying to fight lesser opponents to build my resume up. Like I've built a good resume off beating good names. Do you know what I mean? And I'm confident now that when I do get into the UFC, I've had the experience to carry me through a UFC career. I'm not going to get to the UFC and be like, oh, fucking hell, this is a big shock. I've been fighting a load of trash cans on regional shows, and now I'm fighting legit opponents who are coming to win. Since my first pro fight, essentially, all my pro career, I've fought competitive, good fights against other young prospects. So, yeah. And this is another one. This is another one on Saturday night, which I'm excited to go in, showcase my level, and show why I'm the best on the regional scene at the minute, and then hopefully be going on to the UFC pretty soon.
well, are you gonna like Martin Yoni is fight? Is he fighting in Rome and he's already booked?
He's not fighting in Rome.
Was he
He's
not?
fighting. No, because he's dropping back down to flyweight, isn't he?
Oh, aye, that's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. So Martin Yoni's
Yes, I've
dropping
seen
down to
that. Now
flyweight.
that's right. He vacated it. Right? He vacated the
Yeah.
title. Yeah.
So it's Dylan Hazan who's fighting Lochran for the belt.
So why
Um,
why were you in any contact with that, or did you have any interest in that, or what sort of happened there?
no, you know what? I'm happy to wait my turn. I fought for the belt. You know what I mean? I've had one fight since then, and I got a decision win. It wasn't my best performance either. Don't get me wrong, the kid was good who I fought, but 15 months out, there was injuries going into that fight. There was a lot of things that obviously you don't speak about because you don't want to make excuses and stuff. But
Yeah.
based off the back of that one performance and win since my title fight, I don't necessarily think that warrants me to fight for the title again. But a big win and a stoppage win over Dan Deweese on Saturday night in Manchester with a big crowd all cheering for me. I think that makes a massive statement, and that puts me in serious talks for either a title shot or whatever else maybe next after this.
Yeah, so you're not as much focused on the title, you're just focused on big statement and whatever comes then, right?
That's it. I just want to take out good names. I'm made up to have Dan Deweese. You know what I mean? Like it's 8-1. This is what I want. I want the UFC people who are that for people from the top promotion to look at me and look at my record and see what he's beat 6-0 guy Martin Yoni, he's beat Brian Boolan 10-3, he's beat Giordano 6-1, Dan Deweese 8-1. Like you look at all these names on my record, and they're gonna realize like the level I'm at. I'm not just 8-1 against eight bums. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
8-1. It's going to be like eight legit opponents. So that's what I'm focused on.
Oh, well, your last fight it was Giordano, wasn't it? So, and it was like I think was it fight of the night that I think
I did get that on the. They did like an Instagram post afterwards, and it won fight of the night, which I'm not best pleased about. I never want to fight. I want to dominate and get performance of the night, but it is what it is. I'll take that.
Well, I was talking to you before about it. I think the moment of the night was when you slipped out of that guillotine when you had you real tight and the guillotine just completely flipped them round. Like that was the pop
Yeah,
in my house anyway. I was telling you about everybody was
yeah,
So
yeah.
sort of talk us through that moment, like, because that was class.
Yeah, that was me making a stupid error. Do you know what I mean? Going into the third round, uh, left my head in there, just getting a little bit too comfortable. Do you know what I mean? In the grappling exchanges and not respecting my opponent's grappler enough, and he tied me up pretty tight. Do you know what I mean? So he nearly made me pay for making that mistake. But there was never any doubt in my mind after like 15 months out the cage, all the shit I had to deal with. I'm not tapping to a guillotine choke. Do you know what I mean? So it was either I'm gonna go a kip here or I'm gonna work my way out. And yeah, I just stayed in it. It was tight. Don't get me wrong. I rolled to my back, which relieved a little bit of the squeeze, but it was still on, and I was kicking my hips, and then eventually, a bit of sweat involved as well. Popped my head out and exploded, turned on top of him, and then secured the rest of the round and won the fight. So, but yeah, I won't be making any mistakes like that on Saturday night. I'm going to be fucking dialed in for the full 15 minutes. No stupid errors.
Yeah, well, it was entertaining anyway. It was cool to see. Well, it was cool to see that even in that fight, after such a long time, you were able to overcome that adversity. It was kind of representative of your injury. You're stuck in a guillotine for so long, couldn't get fights, couldn't get active, and then you flip
Yeah.
it around and you turn it around and you win. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I like that. It's very poetic. Yeah, that
Yeah.
is a good way to look at it. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And it is. I did feel afterwards, like, even in that moment, it lasts a lot longer than you think when you're in a choke. You're like, do you know what I mean? Although maybe I was only in it for 5, 10 seconds, it felt like a lifetime. Do you know what I mean? So, battling through and then overcoming the adversity and getting out, that is sort of representative of like the year I've had leading up to that moment. So, yeah, it was quite poetic there. I like it.
There you are. Well, do you like how were you straight back to the gym or was there any celebrating or was like how's life sort of been since the last fight? Like,
Yeah, it was very, very like chilled and back to normal straight away. Like obviously I fought New Year's Eve, so then you're coming into like sort of your downtime and it's the start of the year when everything's picking up again, everyone's getting back into the gym, everyone's going back to work, all the partying and chilling's been done over Christmas where I was in the trenches grinding in the gym. So I took a little bit of time. It was my birthday a few days after. I've got a crap birthday, 3rd of January, so it's like right at the start of the year. So but it was nice coming off a win to enjoy my birthday, had a nice bit of food, chilled with the family, and then I literally think so. Going into the second week of January, I was just back in the gym and back to my normal routine. And then we got told early on that it was going to be a Manchester card, in the first quarter of the year. So from then, it's been full steam ahead, working towards this. So I've kind of just built on everything from my last camp. Took the lessons from that last fight, got a good 15 minutes experience, and then got right back into camp and got ready for where we are now, which is this Saturday night.
well, have like who would your main training partner be? Would you mainly be training with Adam and stuff, or would he about be above you, like in weight classes wise? Like who would you mainly be training
Yeah,
with in this camp?
Adam's a bit heavier than me, so in the gym
Yeah.
a lot of the time when we're doing our drilling and stuff, obviously he goes with the bigger guys, the lightweights, the welterweights, and that, and I'm with the bantams and the feathers and the flies. Like, but I still train with Adam. We've been training partners from day one. Do you know what I mean? We started together in a small gym, in Southport. So like we always train together, whether it be like the jiu-jitsu classes of a night, we'll drill together, or if we go wrestling, we'll wrestle together and stuff. So he's good at not using all his weight and strength on me when we're going. He just keeps it nice and technical because he'd absolutely maul me if he tried to put all his big 80 kilo on me. So, yeah, that's still a good training partner. But yeah, I train a lot with Luke Riley. He's one of my main training partners, one of the featherweights in the gym. Liam Malloy, I train a lot with him, who's a featherweight who's fighting on Saturday night also against Josh Reed. So that'll be a cracking scrap. I reckon Liam's going to stop him, like, definitely. I trained with Liam Gittins quite a lot for the last camp. He was an absolute godsend because he was like the only one of the lads who was getting in. Because obviously it was Christmas, everyone had just fought. He fought himself in November, so everyone was having a little bit of downtime. But I was still in camp. I still needed those bodies to train with, and Liam got in every single day for me. So I was very thankful for him, for that. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. I train a lot with Connor Wilson as well, but he's out in and Francis Breen, but they're both out in San Diego with the. Have you seen all that MMA Mola stuff that they're doing? The MMA team that's going on out there.
I've seen the next gen over in America, but that must be something different. I've seen the
Yeah,
Paul Rimmer stuff over in America.
yeah, yeah. So that was the 25th anniversary of Next Gen. That so Paul's gone over to see his head coach Chris Brennan, who started Next Gen. They've done like an anniversary thing, but there's it's kind of, I think it's something to do with Cage Warriors. They've put on like a TV show essentially in San Diego where they've recruited a lot of guys to form like an MMA team out there. And Fran and Connor got selected from our gym, and they're on it now. And essentially, like, you go through the process of the show, and if you get chose for the team, you get to fight on Cage Warriors. So they're both fighting on the San Diego card in June.
So is it
Um,
like an Ultimate Fighter kind of thing for Cage Warriors?
Essentially there, but they don't fight against each other. So the lads on the team are all part of a team in San Diego, and they will go and get on Cage Warriors and fight other opposition from across the world, essentially. But yeah, made up for them. But two me training partners there that I've been without for the last few months as well, so I am missing them a bit. But made up that they're out there, and it looks sick, and yeah, proper happy for both of them too as well.
So hopefully you'll be fighting in America soon anyway. You will have to be envious of them anyway.
I know, yeah, it'll be me soon.
Well, do you is there like why now that like this is the 25th anniversary of next gen and like that would this is this the biggest show for next gen like now like with terms of like there's so many of you fighting on it like would this be the next gen show to of all of them like
I'd say so. Yeah, there's definitely. You could argue that back in the day when Paddy, Molly, Chris Fishgold, and that were on Cage Warriors, Ellis, our coach, was fighting on Cage Warriors. Adam Ventry. They used to have the shows in Liverpool, which were very much like next gen shows. Do you know what I mean? Because it was in the Echo Arena. Paddy was the main event, or Molly was the main event, and that would sell out the Echo. Do you know what I mean? So they were massive shows for the gym. I fought on a couple of them as an amateur as well, so it was nice to be a part of that in sort of the early days of my career. But now, like I said, we're the next generation of next generation now coming through and having our pro careers, and this is like our version of their Echo shows. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's a shame it's not in Liverpool, but Manchester's not too far, and I'm sort of in between anyway because I live in Southport, so I'm in between the two. So all my mates can get down, so it's a nice local show. And yeah, there's about, I think in total we've got like 7 lads on the card, and then we've got Chris Price as well, who's been coming and doing a lot of training with us for this camp. So he's kind of fighting out of our gym now, as well as Manchester Predators, his gym where he trains. So yeah, 7 or 8 lads from the gym are going to be competing Saturday. So it's going to be a boss night.
was there any talk of getting it back in Liverpool or anything or was it just always Manchester?
I think now they're sticking with Manchester because that bowl is a good venue.
Yeah,
They seem to have it locked in like for dates, twice a year at least. And then I think I heard something with the Liverpool shows where the Echo became the M&S Bank
yeah.
Arena, and I'm not sure if they want to put on MMA shows anymore. I think there was something where they said they weren't going to put on MMA shows. So it's shit, but the Bowlers is a good little venue. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's not too far out the way. So
That's what that
it's
convention is, the MMA convention and wrestling convention is at the end of the month. It's in Bogus. I don't know if I'm going to go to that, like, 'cause I'm still in Ireland at the minute, like, but um,
right.
that's what that is in GSP and Anderson Silva and all's coming to it. So it's all the next gen lads yourself, and then 2 weeks later it's going to be GSP and Anderson Silva, all walking reviews walked a few weeks before.
Yeah, that's sick. MMA royalty, then. Do you know what I mean? So to be fighting where they're going to be is a nice little achievement. I think GSP was there one of the last times that this happened as well in the Bowlers because Paddy sat down and had a chat with him.
All right.
Yeah, so I think that maybe that was a similar thing where they had a convention on because there was a show in April
Yeah,
last year,
yeah, there was.
Manchester.
Yeah.
I was injured, so I never got to fight on. But GSP was there at that as well. I remember.
Yeah, I think it was in Liverpool last year, but and it was in Liverpool this at the same time last year, and then they moved it to Manchester this year. But there's a load coming to it. There's Chuck Liddell, Leon Edwards is going to it, and
Right.
Chuck Liddell and Rampage Jackson and stuff. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty big, like.
Nice, yeah, that'd be sick.
So you need to go. You should go around, land up to it and go. I was fighting here 2 weeks ago. Get a photo of me. I'm not paying nothing.
Yeah, I'm not paying. But you could pay me for the photo.
Exactly, like Mohammed Makayev and all, he's there too. And you should just rock up and say, "Fuck!" Show them a video. I was fighting here 2 weeks ago. Let me through that line for a photo. You'd be fighting me here right now. That
Yeah, 100%. I won't be queued up for a photo with them really. Like I would with GSP. He's a legend.
yeah,
Do you know?
that's
I
who I
don't
would
mind.
mainly go for. GSP and GSP mate probably and Leon Edwards. That
GSP and Anderson are defo queue up and get a photo with. Do you know what I mean? But other than that, I'm not too interested. Do you know what I
well,
mean?
that's because they're retired. Like you'll probably be meeting Leon Edwards anyway if you career in your path. You'll be meeting them all anyway. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh,
Well,
definitely. I imagine that I'll be in the next few years. I think Leon will still be on top of the sport when I'm in the UFC. So yeah, those sort of people. It's funny, isn't it? Because like you say, the ones that retired and kind of been there and done it, you sort of view them, you hold them in a different sort of esteem. Like GSP is like a legend to me. Do you know what I mean? If I was to meet him, I'd be like almost not nervous, but like it would be pretty weird meeting like an idol. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah.
then to meet someone who's currently doing well in the sport, I feel like they're just on the same journey I am. They're just a little bit further ahead, so it doesn't feel as much of like a sort of an honor to meet them. But probably just the same with anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, there's they're coming to London now twice a year. Like I think it'll only be a few years. They'll probably set up a performance institute in the UK probably. When they're coming here so much. Like so,
Yeah.
and that's positive for yourself because you're from England. Like so, there's only
Hmm.
really positives for yourself now. You just stay in your path and Cage Warriors and keep doing well, which I'm sure you will. Like and you'll be on them shows in no time. Like unfortunately, Paddy's injured now and he's recovering from surgery and he missed it. Like so, but
Yeah.
you will be on that path and then you will be on it. Like
Oh, definitely. I think ever since it's sort of and Paddy and Molly are partly to thank, I think, as well for obviously Leon being the champ, but those two London cards last year that was built around. I
yeah,
mean, obviously Tom Aspinall
not
as well.
awesome as
He
well.
played a part in it, but I was there at both the shows, and nobody got a pop like Paddy. Do you know what I mean? Nobody got the same reception. And Molly as well. She got a massive pop from the crowd. So I think those two are like big players in the UK scene blowing up as much as it has,
Yeah,
and I'll be there from my gym. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah,
that's like proper close to home for me, and that's nice to be a part of in some way. And I feel like the likes of myself, Adam, Luke, Liam, when we all get in the UFC, do you know what I mean? That's going to be us carrying the torch and keeping that going and representing not only the UK but next gen as well, because I think next gen is playing a huge part in like the success that European MMA is having right
yeah.
now.
Well, I remember the first London show last year. I got COVID like about a year ago and had to watch it in a wee tiny apartment in Liverpool I was living in. Like, thought I was dying. Like, but that was the only thing that gave me a good bit of spirit. Like, and then, the second show I interviewed you right before it the first time, and I remember Paddy walking in when he was training. Like, um, I like because I was interviewing you, and then I was telling people how he walked in the interview and stuff, and then people were all like, "Oh, why didn't you ask him for a photo?" I was like, "I didn't want Reg's head. He was training," and then he came out a week later against Ariel Helwani and was like, "I don't write journalists." And I was like, "Thank God I didn't open my mouth then." You know what I mean?
I don't think he'd had his sound. He'd have took a picture of you. Do you know what I mean? I don't
Yeah,
think he out of that. I just think he doesn't get on with this Ariel. To be honest, him and Ariel have had the beef, haven't they? So
yeah.
that was more aimed at him, I reckon. But
Nah, sure. I'll probably see him again around the gym. I don't. I just was interviewing you. That was, I was
yeah,
interviewing you. I didn't
no,
want
there's a
to.
time and a place. It
Yeah,
depends on who you catches in sometimes, especially like. But Paddy's normally dead chilled sound guy. Do you know what I mean? You ask him for a photo, he's never going to say no, as long as you're polite. There's
yeah,
people who scream at him like, "Hey lad, let's get a photo here." Do you know what I mean? Like if you go up to him and say, "Yes, Pat, can I get a photo, please?" He's not going to be asked. Do you know what I mean? He'll take a photo with you all day.
yeah.
So yeah, he sound like that.
He's probably a good role. Like, would he be who in the gym would be like your main role model in terms of professionalism and carrying yourself properly and keeping your mind focused? That
Yeah, well, obviously Paddy and Molly. Do you know what I mean? I'm looking up to both of them because, especially even more. Well, obviously Molly was there first. Do you know what I mean? And she was really like for me early days turning pro. I looked up to her because she would always structure a camp so well and she was dialed in. She used to really cover every single detail. She still does now, but I mean, when I was especially starting out as a pro, I sort of took a bit of inspiration from that because she was very honed in. It seemed like she would write out her whole training camp. She would journal every single day about how sessions were going, how she was feeling, what the game plan is for the fight. she was very, very dialed in, like I say, and very professional and organized. And I kind of like taking that approach. Like I don't want to leave any stone unturned. Do you know what I mean? So that used to inspire me quite a lot. Paddy's a lot more free flowing. Like he's very much so comes in and gets his sessions done. He's in every single day, but like he's not as, I wouldn't say methodical as how Molly is, but Paddy's just a crazy talent. Do you know what I mean? And also very hard working as well. So I look up to that. And like I've never seen anyone as composed as Paddy. I think that like I've shared changing rooms with him before when he's been fighting on Cage Warriors, and it's like he's not even walking out to a fight. It's like he's going out for the bevy or going out to the pub. Do you know what I mean? Like he's so relaxed, so chilled. He's just got his music on. So I can take little bits of inspiration from all of them. Do you know what I mean? But I look up to all my teammates. Do you know what I mean? Whether
Yeah.
it be Adam Cook, his work ethic, or Luke Riley, the way he trains, or Liam Gittins, how relentless he is. So it's like I like to take little bits from everyone, and I like to think that I inspire all the lads as well, with my attitude and how I approach training.
Yeah. So are you in the middle of a weight cut now, or how's that going?
Yeah, so I am. I'm going to be weighing in tomorrow morning. So I've kind of had my last little bit of food before I get on the scales now tomorrow. I've done a water load this week, and the weight's coming down nice. I've got loads of energy, so I'm in a good spot. I'm probably going to have to do a little cut tonight, maybe about three kilos, something like that. Nothing crazy. And then I'll get up, do the last little bit in the morning, get on the scales, and then eat like and drink loads of fluids. So I'm looking forward to that. But it was good because I didn't know what weight I was going to be fighting at. I could have kind of delayed the process of making bantamweight because I didn't know if I was going to be fighting at catch weight, whatever. But I just kind of stayed the course and told myself, like, worst comes to worst, you just eat a bit more towards the end of the week if you've not got to fight a bantam. Um, but anyway, so I'm on track, and yeah, I'm gonna be making weight nice and easy tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, that's tomorrow morning then, and then you're fighting Saturday. What time? What time do you think you'll be fighting on Saturday?
The main card starts at 8:30, and I'm the co-main event. So, um, I'd imagine
Quarter.
quarter to 10, 10, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'll make sure to get watching it then. That's all my questions there for now. For this fight anyway. I'm probably talking for the next.
Oh, definitely, lad. Yeah, we'll come back and we'll get a little series going. We'll do one every fight.
Yeah, we'll do on every fight. Well, I'll get this up. I'll get this up on of the interview with Adam that I done because I didn't want to release them until your fights were announced. I'll get it
Yeah.
up tonight and then I'll get yours up tonight. I'll do a double feature, like so we'll get them both up in the next gen feature.
Boss. Brilliant. Sounds good, brother.
Right, good talking to you, Nathan. Good luck on Saturday, lad.
Go on. And you, bro. Nice one.
See you later.
See you soon, lad. Bye bye.